What's up guys, and welcome back to another Pokemon Sun and Moon video, and today we are going to be doing sort of an analysis of all the new gameplay images and videos we've received today. There were obviously some that weren't in the initial trailer because Japanese coverage seems to be completely different from the English coverage now. So there were little videos on the Japanese website that we can look over, and obviously there was other stuff, little things dropped in, so it's stuff that we haven't seen before, and it doesn't really present new information, but it was also new areas and stuff like that. So obviously, first looking at the Sun Legendary reveal, this actually gives us some stuff we didn't really focus on too much when we were thinking about the actual Legendary reveal, but you can see here when the ability activates, obviously Salamance's Intimidate activates, and then Full Metal Body for Solgaleo activates, and you see it says here, obviously stats weren't lowered, but now we can see what the two sort of sides look like for the abilities, which is obviously slightly different from what we've seen before, because in some past games they've been more sort of like techie-like, I suppose is a good word for it, but this is, you've got the paint stripes again, very similar to the actual battle bars there, and we get to see what the text bar, I guess it's called, looks like in battle, as well as on the left side you can see how many Pokemon you have on your Pokemon bar there. We also saw what Sunsteel Strike looks like, and we didn't mention it when we looked at it initially, but you can tell when we saw it initially we only saw like a tiny preview of it in like a store window in the back of a trailer, so we couldn't really tell what was going on. But you can see here in Sunsteel Strike it's not exactly the same as Lunala's Moon Heist Beam or whatever it's called. Sunsteel Strike, you can see Solgaleo does jump up, but then it goes down with the beam, so it seems like it's going to be a physical move, and that Solgaleo is going to be a physical Pokemon and Lunala will stay as a special Pokemon, because some people, after I did my speculation on, and I said Solgaleo was going to be physical, some people were saying, why would they give a physical legendary a special signature move? Well, that's because the signature move is going to be physical most likely, because, well, look at it there, it's actually diving in. So that's what we have to look at there. And then in the main trailer, sort of, obviously in sort of images between the Sun reveal and all the other stuff, we had some more shots of the characters in the world. This one first here you can see our lovely female character standing next to a palm tree surrounded by some tall grass. This is our first shot of tall grass in the game. Obviously it's slightly different to previous versions since our characters are now more proportional, so they have to make, I guess, the tall grass slightly taller, I don't know. But you can also see in the background there we have an entrance to a cavern surrounded by rocks and some sort of watery area, and this seems to be of the area in the first island that we saw towards the back right. There was a cave of some sort back there, so it seems like she's on a cliff overlooking that. The second one here you can see we have a young chap running up what looks to be sort of a path away around a hill, and you can see some more tall grass further down there on the path. There's no real way to tell where this is. He might be going up a mountain of some sort or back around a hill. This could still be on the initial island, of course. There is on the left side of the first island we saw, there is a path that sort of sweeps around to the top of the hill, or top of the mountain I suppose it is. So this could be what it is, but we don't know of course quite yet. Then we have this shot here of the male player running through what seems to be like a crater, and this is probably the crater of the sort of the mountain area. Diamond Head Crater it's inspired by on the initial island, very right down at the bottom, and it seems like that's what's inside of it. There's not too much in there. I did speculate maybe saying there might be like an evil team base like hidden away in there that you come back later and find, but it seems like if this is indeed the inside of it, it's just a little area where you might be able to find some Pokemon possibly, or there might be some caves hidden away. But you really can't tell much else from that screenshot apart from maybe what's further ahead, but you can't make anything out, so you don't know. Then the final one we have here is a shot of the female character running through what is most likely the first city you see in the first island again. It fits the sort of location pretty well. You can see the Pokemon Center in the background, a blue-like building to the left-hand side, it looks blue at least. This could just be a normal building or something like that. It's unlikely to be a Pokemon since those are built into the Pokemon Centers, but it could be a building of some sort, who knows, as well as some other buildings surrounding her, but she's on the main road basically. Then we have a few more images here again. First up we have, this is from just sort of a short video on the Japanese website of more stuff about the Alola region. The first one here you can see is again of this first city, and you can see basically if you look at the back left of the image, you can see the Pokemon Center there, which is where the female character was running just now, albeit at night, but now you can see it during the day. This is more of a cinematic overview, as are this next one shot, so it likely is that sort of introduction to the game, possibly, who knows. But we have seen the city before, so there's nothing too much to see here. But then we get a shot here from the beach, looking out, and you can see a Slowpoke right there in front of the image there. So I guess this confirms Slowpoke to be in the Alola region dex, who knows. And obviously to the right side you can see sort of the pier going out, and obviously a lady in a bikini there. Then we have a couple of shots following the female character here, the first one being for her running down onto the beach, so basically the left area being where we were just right then. There's nothing too much extra to see there. I think it was one, a couple of screenshots online saying like, oh, is that a Pokemon hidden in the background? But no, it's just a Slowpoke, as we just saw. So she runs down onto the beach and then runs off, and then we got this shot of here, which is of her running through a flattish area with some nice big boulder hill-like things. Where this is, I don't know. I haven't really done a full in-depth analysis of the Alola region quite yet, so I can't really pinpoint these images somewhere. I likely will do it and post it on Twitter or something at some point. But obviously there will also be a Alola analysis coming out tomorrow, so be sure to not miss that. Does that make any sense? I don't know. Anyway, those are those shots. Then we can move on to some characters basically. So we have a couple here. These are from the main trailer. We can see the first one is of Professor Kukui. Is it Kukui? I don't know. I can't. Yeah, Kukui. You can see him telling you about the Alola region, and you can see obviously on this map here you have these five main islands you can see, and he says he's talking about how many islands there are, and he says the region is chock full of nothing but rare Pokemon. So then, obviously it's a good indication that we're going to get quite a few Pokemon, who knows though. And it's obviously linking in, again, also using this some sort of software, I don't know what it is again, I speculated about it the other day, but who knows. And the next one we have to look here is of the rival, I guess we're going to call him, How, and alongside him we have Professor Kukui in the background, we also have Lily, and then we have Hala, all in there. Hala could end up being, Hao's grandfather, would be a pretty good guess, but it just seems to be all the characters stood around what looks to be the starting village, just having a chat. I don't know what Hao's talking about, saying chicken skin, no guesses at all there, who knows. Anyway, now we got some more interesting images. This is from a short clip showing off Professor Kukui basically, and first we get this shot here of this house. Now this house looks to be from down on the beach, in the initial island. There's basically one building next to the crater, so this could be Professor Kukui's lab, I guess you could call it. I'm going to put my bets on it being his lab, and rather than lab being in the same village as where you get your starter. Why is that? Well, because it again cuts straight into Professor Kukui standing in what we can only assume is his house, and what we can only assume is his house, because our house is actually up in the starting village. I think, it's what we've seen at least. And then we get this other shot here of us, Professor Kukui, and as well Hao and Lily standing around his house again, I guess, or some similar area. You're going to see an aquarium in the background with a love disc inside, and just to the very top right of the image you can see a Corsola too, so I guess we can confirm that love disc and Corsola are going to be in the Alola Dex or in the Alola region somewhere, as I suspected. This could be the same house, however does seem to be sort of like more open plan and larger than Professor Kukui's initial shots. So this could be of some different building, maybe in the first city, because the first city is based off of that that region in Hawaii, and that is known for having some sort of sea center. So it's possible that could be that there, and they could just be having a meeting there. Who knows? But then we have some shots here of the rival How. The first one here shows you what the exclamation mark is going to look like in these games. Rather than being a small pixelated one, we're going to have more of a larger one, and instead of having red exclamation mark, we're going to have a nice sort of bluish one. I guess that makes sense for how they're going for the colour scheme of these games. And then the second one we have here is of basically you and How stood on the battle board, I guess I'm going to call it, in the starting village, at what looks to be sort of like late afternoon dusk. Professor Kukui is also stood in the background, so this looks to be what your first rival battle, for example. And you can also see in the background there are two sort of, I guess I'm going to call them like shops, people selling things it would look like, who knows. And then we have a collection of 3 shots here of How sending out his Pokemon into battle. The first one is sort of, you get a nice you know, like goes on his face and does a nice effect, and it says like, "How would I like to battle?" as he throws his Pokeball up, and then he throws it at the screen, and obviously cut to white, and then you go into the battle. So I thought I'd just show you that because it does look pretty cool in my opinion. Then finally for characters, we have one last character to look at, and that is Lily. This first shot here shows obviously the back of her as she's looking to cross a bridge, and she also turns around to see you. Then the next shot is in a different area, it would seem, and this is again outside the house, the initial house, and it sort of even backs up. There's the house next to the crater, since to the top left of that image you can see the Pokemon Center that's on the road behind it. So that's that there. She's obviously having a chat with you. Maybe you go down to see the professor and she's waiting outside or something along those lines, who knows. And then the final one here is her up in the starting village, possibly leading on from the previous screenshot where we saw Hal talking about chicken skin. And she's saying something, who knows what. Maybe she's saying, why don't you give them a Pokédex? Ooh, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, then we move on to look at some stuff about the Rotom Pokédex. We've seen some of this before. Obviously, this is a screenshot of the bottom screen where you're talking to Rotom Dex. I'm going to refer to it as Rotom Dex. I don't care if anyone else doesn't. And then the second one here seems to be most likely Professor Kukui, or maybe an introduction video of some sort, introducing you to the next generation of Pokédexes, but it's only complete once Rotom has gone into this Pokédex, so it's possible that you'll have to maybe get Rotom somehow. Maybe, you know, Rotom will go rogue and you'll have to battle him. You'll only be at level 5 probably, but who knows. That would be an interesting addition, but it's likely they might just say, go on then Rotom, and you get. Then there was a little small video on the Japanese website basically showing Rotom off and showing the Rotom Dex what you can do. Now the first screenshot you can see here is you outside the Pokemon Center, so you get to see the Pokemon Center is all of its glory, and it looks really cool actually. And this is obviously the one right down sort of at the bottom of the hill, and you can see at the bottom of the screen there's a map there. You can see obviously the city off to the left hand side, the building, the house down on the beach, and then another sort of set of buildings to the right hand side. But basically what you do here is red flags apparently indicate some sort of area of interest to you, or you can set them yourself, I think. So basically you then pop Rotom Dex up on the bottom screen, and you can follow it until you reach the destination. And you can also change it to a Pokédex at any time. So here's our first shot of the Pokédex of the Alola region. You can see here we have Pokédex, and then some stuff there, Rotom Dex, whatever it says. And then 1%, so it shows you what percentage of the Pokédex you filled up, which is pretty cool. Now, however, there's something on the bottom screen you can see here. We have the first line which says 1, obviously in court, I guess, and then 3 scene. But there's 2 lines. So one of them is the Alola Dex, and the other one, I believe, is something called, let me just check the name, it's called the Melee Pokédex. So it's possible that each of these islands will be called a different name, and each of these islands may have a different set of Pokemon you can receive in them. Obviously the one Pokemon here is the starter, so you can assume the starters are in all of them possibly. Or the Alola Pokédex could be sort of the Alola region, and then the Melee might be a different region of some sort. We really don't know at this point. It's just been dropped in here, and obviously this is right at the start of the game, so maybe there's maybe Melee means like, I don't know, something or other. I don't know. I have no idea, guys. You can let me know what you think about that down below. But then if we go into the Pokédex, you can see, if we go on the first slot, obviously there's Rowlet, which is the Pokemon they've caught, and the really cool thing I find here is actually it shows you a little image of Rowlet and what it looks like in battle. It's just a still image, but it still looks really cool. It's almost like some sort of art, even though it's not quite art, but you guys get the idea. But you can see the list of Pokemon there. They've seen Rowlet, and then there's 2 free, and obviously they've also seen Litten. So they scroll down, Litten is greyed out, but they've still seen it, so it's pretty cool there. I just like the idea of having a little picture of Pokemon, rather than sort of, usually in the previous games we had the sprites, or in X and Y and Ice we've had sort of a sitting 3D model, whereas this time they've actually got a bit more action to them, which I quite like. Then finally, to finish up, we have just 2 more screenshots here showing you, your character, sending out a Pokemon into a wild battle. First one here you can see, or maybe not necessarily a wild battle, but battle of some sort. First one is the throwing of the Pokeball saying, "Go Rowlet!" And you can see the grass and the rocks in the background. And then we can see here, there's a nice flat surface, there's no circles anymore, and it's you're obviously stood behind your Pokemon in battle, and we can assume that's going to carry on throughout. So that's pretty cool. But those are all the new gameplay screenshots we received. I think I've covered them all. Let me know what you think about them all down below, particularly the Rotom Dex, having 2 different Pokedexes. What is it all about? What's Melee? What does it mean? Are they just going to name? Melee is actually, I believe, in some sense, I saw someone mention it in some language, it's the colour yellow. So it's possible that the different islands might be named like this is the yellow island and the red island and the green island, so each island is a different colour, and it just helps like that, with Alola region being like all of them. It's possible. You know, Alola region being like the whole region, Melee being this first island, and you guys get the idea there. That's a possibility. Let me know what you think about down below. If you enjoyed the little analysis video, hit the like button too. But for now, this is going to be it for me for today. I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.